If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. I hear you. And, and it really is, I've been coming up with this theory and I've, talked about it with Tiff and a couple other people. The idea of work, you have your work. What makes up a engaged, well-rounded, confident, esteem-filled person at work that's producing? And half of it is your skills, the skills that you have in your job, right? So if you're good at what you do and you know all the bells and whistles, all the regs, all the processes, all the systems, you can do all
Hmm.
that. And the other half of it is how you feel about your job, how you feel
Right.
about what's going into the job. So that can be, how comfortable you are, your insecurities, your feelings about how other people see you, and that's so those are such a big thing. Like you mentioned, people are, there's a stat, I throw out all the time, 80% of people are hired because of their skill set in their previous job, right? And just because you are a highly effective and productive, individual contributor. I mean, you can be the best case manager in the world. Does that automatically give you the skill set to manage a group of eight case managers with their own caseloads and their own lives and their own dramas and their own health issues, their own response, relationship issues, right? Or, maybe, who aren't as committed as you, as driven as you. And so
Hmm.
how does all that transfer to your job satisfaction and what does that do to their job satisfaction? And it's such a
Hmm.
huge piece that people miss out on. They think just because, well, that person is really good at what they do, I can't, we need to promote them. Well, we need to recognize, you know, are they promotable? Do they have that,
Right.
rippleness, right? I'm taking that word, right? That so
Ripalicious.
the rippleliciousness, right? And so just thinking about, you mentioned the idea of the roles that we have to play, the ideas of our own securities, our own areas of incompetence, it's such an important piece that people don't realize. We are always, our first response is to be in our feelings, and we always take things personal.
Yes.
And so, how do we get out from that personal to recognizing how that other person's feeling? Everything that you're talking about, everything that we've talked about this last hour, it really comes down to, do the people that you are standing up in front of and sitting down with and guiding them and providing insights and helping them to provide their own insights and cultivate their relationships with their families, do they trust you that you have their best interest in mind? And I think that's one of the gifts that you have in your program that I learned. The last job that I had working for the county was I helped develop our E-Zone program, which was our job readiness workshop. It was a 3-week intensive workshop, and I found it, as much as I enjoyed my case management career, valued the ability to spend 3 weeks with the same group of people that saw me every day show up to be the same person that I was, and to make sure that I did what I said I was going to do, and to empower them and for them to believe that I believed in them. And that was something that, you don't always get, even if you meet with your clients, once a month or even once a week. It's a transactional thing. Sometimes if it's weekly, if it's monthly, I mean, how often do you really get into a lot of the things that you do in an intensive program where you meet with the same people, you develop those bonds of trust where you actually get into their kitchens in ways that you don't have time to,
You're talking
just
about
in those.
relationships. Yeah.
Yes, 100%, right? So that is such an important thing, building trust. And that's the power of these workshops when they're done correctly. It's not about telling people how to live their lives, it's asking them how their lives are lived and how can we help to enhance that, right? And so, but that takes time because people don't trust you right off the bat. So, you're asking coaching questions. Well, what is this? I know professionals. I had somebody I was coaching that's a manager for a state agency, and we talked about one-on-one meetings and using coaching questions. And the next time I saw her, she said, I had a meeting with one of my direct reports, and I was asking him coaching questions. She said, "What are you trying to get at? What are you trying to get out of me? This isn't how you usually come at me. What's going on? Did
Right.
I do something wrong?" When you change
Trigger
up, like you
suspicion.
mentioned. They
switch
were
it up on
suspicious. Why? Because she switched it up on them, right?
yeah.
And even so, she switched it with the intent of a positive outcome. The other person didn't trust her because that's not you, right? And so she had to do it. The next time I saw her, she said, okay, she's getting a little more comfortable because I've explained to her, what my intent is. And the intent is for me to show up better for her. She didn't understand that because how often do people, our first response is, what are people doing to me as opposed to
Mhm.
what can I do for other people? And
Now
that's such
imagine if that person at the beginning of that conversation with that employee gave a disclaimer. I've been getting some coaching to improve my management skills. And so I'm going to be applying some of the things that I'm learning into this conversation. So it might feel different, but I'm telling you, I'm doing this so I can be more in tune, more supportive of you as an employee and me as a manager. So
yeah,
here we go. Because we often feel like we're often in this work, we're so much on survival mode that our initial response is, "What's going on here?" And you were very correct when you said that. Um, you know, I'm always thinking about the fact that in my career, I've had a lot of I've had a lot of bosses and I've had a few leaders. Both have challenged me, but I respond differently to each one. When a boss is challenging me, I'm thinking, what's in it for them? When a leader challenges me, I'm thinking, what's in it for me? There's a trust level, there's an integrity that comes with it that I trust that they're making me uncomfortable for the sake of my personal growth. They're not making me uncomfortable for the sake of their ego, right? They're not flexing authority based on their title. Because we know a lot of people with titles and authority that have no respect. They'll accept fear because they don't know how to get respect, which is a sad place to be when you're talking about a human services agency,
Right.
because we're talking about dealing with human beings.
yeah,
And I also like that you shared that, I often see our work as that, and I use this analogy quite a bit, of we're like superheroes, right? Um, but the challenge is most of the things that our clients are dealing with, we're dealing with in our own personal lives too. We got more month than money. We got kids struggling in school. We got unstable relationships. We got traumatic past. We got behavioral health issues. We got families with substance abuse challenges. All those things that the people are coming to see us for, we're dealing with as well. But for most of us, we have that ability when we get to that door to tie that towel around our neck and put on our red chonies and be a superhero for somebody else. I can't fix my stuff, but I can help you with yours. But it's that duality. It's Spider-Man and Peter Parker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you go back to being your normal self. And but a lot of us we're dealing with those dynamics every day. But being able to support someone through a challenging situation and for a moment, be a hero for someone else, um, can be a really a healthy coping skill as
Mhm.
we go back into our own normal lives.
Yeah. You said something a bit ago, Lamar, that was running through my mind, and it was about like ego, especially when it comes to like leadership and the difference between a manager and a leader. And I feel like spending 20 something years in government, and just working with people who I've had the opportunity to work with people who are just the most amazing. Lamar, I will say, is one of those people that I really admire. I sincerely. Um, because Lamar doesn't lead with ego. Lamar is never like, "Hi, I'm Lamar. Here's my job title. Here's my accolades. Here's my whatever." And he can have authority, and he's never been like, "Well, actually, this is how we are going to do it. I've decided." Um, but Lamar leads. He doesn't manage. When what I see, like, remove some of the razzle dazzle from helpers. They want to be the superhero while they're dealing with things in their own lives, and how they show up is because their leader continues to put wind under their cape, right? They're putting wind under their cape and helping them navigate. But where leaders start to flex the ego and are leading by their job titles or their degrees, or my space in the hierarchy,
Hmm.
and not leading from that place of like genuine humility and lack of ego, to say, we are in this together. We are going to make this happen. And here's what I can do. And here's what you need to do. And what do you think we can do?
Right. Right.
Um, but I think the thing that takes the wind out of other people's sails so quickly is when incompetent, or um, uh, I'm trying to think of the word you used earlier, like uh, feeling insecure, or
Hmm.
feeling like I'm not in this space where I know it all. Instead of leaning into that discomfort and saying, what can I learn from the people I lead? What can I learn from the people on my team? They belittle them as a way of feeling bigger. And
Hmm.
it's not always in like big obnoxious ways, although it can be. But it's all these little micro insults or ways of chipping away at someone's presence.
It's death
Um,
by a thousand cuts.
exactly.
And can
And
I tell you, Tiff,
it's
it's not always, demeaning. Sometimes it's just not allowing someone to grow just because I can't grow with you, right? So that's,
right.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
you'll grow bigger than me.
Right. It's the I'll grow
yeah,
bigger than you. And so every
yeah,
time that you shine, I have to make sure everybody knows that I held the flashlight so that you could
Right.
shine.
Right.
And the part of it that is always amazing to me is that many of the leaders who do that have zero self-awareness that what they're doing is actually demeaning, and belittling, and removing the spirit of being helpful. They really do think that they're doing the right things. And so I'm not sure like what the answer is here. But I would encourage all leaders and managers and analysts and anybody else who has any impact on people
Hmm.
to really take a look at like the way that they communicate, and the way that they share accolades, and the way that they take credit, and the way that they embolden and empower people to shine without making it about them. Or especially in public spaces, right?
Right.
In public spaces, to not take credit for things that, number one, you didn't do. Maybe someone that you led did, to be able to say, this was a great idea. And the reason we went in this direction is because this person
Right.
made this recommendation
Right.
and they're behind this.
That's
Um,
leadership. That's called
exactly.
leadership.
It's exactly. But what's funny to me, is that a lot of people think that they're leaders because they say the right buzzwords and they read the right books and they have the right titles, and and they're not leading anybody. And it impacts not just how they're seen, but it impacts sometimes whether people stay. It impacts how they show up for work. It How tight am I going to tighten that cape on when I come in to do this amazing work?
Right.
If I feel like my person is always trying to lift it off, it's just weird behavior to me.
You're never
It's
going to
just
get
weird
you're
behavior.
never going to get the best out of someone if they're always scared of you.
Right,
You're never going to get the best if their biggest fear is you
right.
in your position of authority, because that's not leadership.
Yeah,
That's authority, and it's different. And I often share that, I'm always using these superhero analogies, but the difference between a hero and a villain, all heroes have superpowers and all villains have superpowers. But why didn't Spider-Man just rob the bank?
Mhm.
His aunt's struggling. They're living in poverty. Why didn't he just use his superpowers and rob a bank? Why didn't they just take the money? Right? They have
Because
traumas. They're
because he
living
had
in
an
their,
uncle. He had an
well,
uncle that taught him with great power comes great responsibility.
right. But you have villains who have
Sure.
superpowers as well, but they're not aware of how their trauma is affecting how they're using their superpowers. They think that they're doing the right thing. Somewhere in their life, they felt powerless. Somewhere in their life, they felt vulnerable. Somewhere in their life, they felt scared. And so they're using their superpower to not be scared and vulnerable anymore.
Mhm.
But that child is still in there, running the ship, running the ship. Those of us who have knowledge to recognize that that exists, but that's not who I am now, then we can use our superpower for good and not evil,
Right.
Right.
right?
Right.
Because now we're not stuck on emotional survival mode to where we have to drown others so we can swim.
Right.
Well, it's just that crabs in a barrel, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a conversation I have with leaders all the time. I ask them, I said, do you have staff members that are subject matter experts in their field? And if they say yes, I said, good. How do you elevate that knowledge? And if they haven't thought of it, I said, think about what your staff does. And they work with very often, especially the line staff. If you're several
Mm-hmm.
levels above line staff, how are you supposed to know what the line staff is experiencing if they're afraid to share or they don't feel like their insight is being acknowledged, right? And so you have to see them as subject matter experts in what it is that we are there for. All of us are there for to serve the
Right.
clients, whether you haven't worked with a client in 10 years or not, everything you're doing is supporting that work. So, do you count your staff as subject matter experts? If you don't, you know, then are you getting the information that you need to be able to run a successful program for the people that we serve? And that's such an important thing. And a lot of that comes down to ego. Oh, I've been in the human service field for 25 years. Yeah, but for the last 15 years you've sat up in an office up in the fifth floor and have not worked with anybody, right?
You
So
don't have
how do you get information? How do you get
right.
that information? You trust your staff to give you the right information. How do you develop that trust? You allow them to feel heard and valued. And that's where a leader, I can't remember exactly where I heard it. I've been watching so many movies lately. Somebody said, I don't have a Harvard degree, but I employ a lot of folks with Harvard degrees, and which makes me smarter, right? So, regardless if you
Yes.
have whatever accolades you have and whatever your staff has, that's fine. Think about what it is that they are providing you, right? And so what's the information they're giving you? How can you be everywhere at once, especially when you are several levels of, you're a bureau level, division level, department level, program director. How are you supposed to keep track of every single program that's underneath you? You listen to your folks. And if you're not listening to your folks, then how do you know that the people that really need our help, which in human services, we're dealing with the folks who are in the most need in our communities. How do we know what's working for them, what could be provided? How, if we're making budget cuts, how do we get their input? How do we find out exactly what's going on? And very often, if we don't trust the folks who are working with them specifically,
Right.
or even them, then what's the point? We're just pushing papers, and like you said, we're not working for a purpose, or the purpose is our paycheck.
The people without bars on their shoulders are the ones
Yeah.
who recognize that iceberg.
That's right. When I
But
worked at
we
the
don't
Air
want to
Force
hear
Base,
it because they don't have
yeah,
no bars on their shoulder. You're not
when
qualified to recognize an iceberg
yeah, when
until the ship's taking on water.
when
Right?
I worked at Edwards Air Force Base, and the first thing that I learned in the first week I was there, someone said, if you really want to know what's going on base, talk to the first shirts, talk to the first sergeants. They're the
Right.
ones who work with, the airmen, the A1Cs, the senior airmen who are doing a lot of the work that, keeps this base running. If you really want to know the temperature of the base, talk to your first shirts, right? The officers will have a 1,000-yard view, but what about those folks that boots on the ground, right? And so it's such an important thing to remember. No matter how high you get, the further you get up, the further you are away from the ground. And so
You know,
how do you keep that perspective?
I had a conversation with someone in leadership just a few weeks ago, and this isn't such a critical time in government work where there's a lot of change all happening at a very rapid pace, profound changes, and it's created a level of skepticism and insecurity because we don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow. We can come back Monday and things look completely different. We have folks who have been in their jobs for 25, 30 years come back from the weekend and their job is gone. And we watch it on the news, but we know that that can land at our house any day. And so this is a time where leadership is more critical than ever. Is more critical than ever. And so one of the critical skills of being an effective leader in this time is standing up in front of your people and acknowledging the truth. And the truth might be, yes, we are under a lot of uncertainty right now. Yes, there's a lot of questions. Yes, there's a lot of fears. I stand here with you. And I was telling someone in leadership just a couple of weeks ago, because I needed them to, address the branch, and they were like, well, what am I supposed to say? And I'm like, listen, a leader's place in this time is in between the hysteria and their staff. Sometimes you stand up there and they ask you a question. The answer is, I don't know right now, but let me try to find out. They just want you to stand up there and acknowledge that they have questions and answer what you can and say that you don't have answers for what they can. Because when you don't respond, then the ideals fester in people's minds. The biggest fears in my life never happened, right? I thought it was quicksand, but the biggest fears in my life never happened, but they lived in my head because no one said, you know what? I recognize that as a fear too, but we're going to get through this together. So as a leader, your position is right up there in front, acknowledging what people are feeling and experiencing. Because if you're a good leader, they will follow you.
Yeah.
With enthusiasm, see an opportunity. One thing about this time right now, and I was sharing this on another committee that I'm a part of, I says, as difficult and as challenging as times are right now, you're going to see true leaders emerge. Cream is going to rise to the top. You're going to see people that you never recognized as leaders shining in these moments because the season is perfect for it. It's perfect for it. Nobody has to be a hero when things are going good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But who's going to stand up when shit is burning down? Who's going to run into the fire as opposed to away from the fire? They're going to show up in this time right now. The question is, will you be one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to be one of them? And I love how you shared about valuing the experience of our staff, because for me, it's so real and so profound because, for the last 4.5 years, when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, I spent a lot of time away from work just for her treatment, just caring for her. And, but I have complete confidence in my team, complete confidence. For me, the indicator of true leadership is not what your team does when you're there, it's what they do when you're not. When they felt empowered and confident to make the decisions about how All Dads Matter would run because they know what it's supposed to feel like. They know what the outcomes are supposed to look like, and they're committed to it. They're committed to it. So, what I love most about them is that in my absence, the practices that we had in place to keep our team strong, they continued to practice in my absence. They continued to meet every Monday for Monday morning check-in. They continued to support each other to be good fathers and husbands and community members. They continued to deliver outstanding support and services to our fathers. I didn't have to tell them or text them or call them and give them direction every day because they knew what they were supposed to do. That was my, like, for me, from a leadership perspective, my most proud and humble at the same time, because it honors my position as a leader to see them take the initiative and grow in that area, and to continue to deliver. So in the midst of change, when we're shifting from one location to another, and there was a lot of, whenever there's change, there's insecurity and, feelings of vulnerability. And I was able to explain to my team, the strength of All Dads Matter has never been about the location. It's been about you, the workers, you, the people, and how you deliver. We can do this work out of the back of a truck because we're that committed to the outcomes. So whether we're at Castle, whether we're at Buena Vista, or whether we're in a double wide, we're going to make it happen because that's what we do. We make it happen, And I say that with complete transparency, honesty, and integrity so they can believe me. Because one thing about folks in this work and the clients that we work with, we have very high bullshit meters, right? Most of us are in this work because we've been on the other side of that desk before. We've been on cashier. We've been on food stamps. We've been on Medi-Cal. So, a lot of us are in this work to save ourselves back then, and so we know those workers that were great to us, that were amazing, that supported us, that made us feel, respected and valued in a time where maybe we didn't feel so respected and maybe we didn't feel much value. But in that moment, when our hope cup was dry, was able to deliver just a little bit of moisture, just enough to get us to the next day. And so, that's the kind of leadership we need now, as we move forward.
I think so much of this kind of comes back to this idea of humanity. And, what I hear you describing is really this idea of it's we over me, right? It's we over me.
Yes.
It's not about me, it's about us. And, I know that you are the type of leader, Lamar, that really strives to build capacity and not dependency, right? You know that
Absolutely.
when you're out of the office, things are going to keep running just like if you were standing right there, which is the ideal. But this is again going back to that idea of ego. It's great to talk with people and hear where they're coming from and get their perspective and validate their emotions and be able to have those honest conversations. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in a year from now, right? Like, we're kind of at the mercy of our circumstances right now. And
Right.
I also know that we will come out on top, right? So that's part of that leadership is I'll go first. I'll be the one leading us to this new mountaintop and navigating through these rough trails.
Mm-hmm.
But you are not building people who just are following you for the sake of following you. You are building leaders that will, if you come to a hurdle that is too great for you, they're going to lift you up and they're going to lift each other up because they know what's on the other side because you've painted that picture. And I think what happens is a lot of times people start out with really good intentions, or again, they use the right buzzwords or they say the right things where
Mm-hmm.
this is really important to me. And as soon as they get to that rock and maybe they're having a harder time crossing it, they're not looking for the people who have potential to outshine or to come up with a solution. They're saying, I guess this is as far as we go. And I got us this far.
Mhm.
And we're just going to stay behind this rock and see what happens because they're afraid to let somebody else be the leader. And leadership is this delicate dance. Sometimes you're in the front and sometimes you got to be in the back, and sometimes
Right,
you got to be in the front and sometimes you have to be in the back.
right.
And and I want to say this with so much generosity because I know there are a lot of great leaders out there, and there's a lot of great leaders that have the potential to even be better. And there's a lot of people who should just quit now and do something else. There's
Do
no
us all a
point.
favor.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
just retire.
retire. Yeah, just
Yeah,
pick something else, you know.
style is
There's
antiquated.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of them. But where to see I would love to see the growth in that middle piece where they have potential if they could get out of their own way. And they get out of their
That's
own
it.
they get out of their own way by recognizing um you don't always have to be in charge. And you see someone that can outshine you, lift them up.
Lift
Do
them up.
not keep them down. Do not
Right,
keep them down.
right.
You know, Lamar's known me for again most of my adult life. Not that he's much older than me, but let's just clarify really quickly.
We just happen to be in those spaces at the same
Yeah,
time.
we were both born in the 1900s. No big deal. But
The 1900s.
19 that's my favorite thing to say. Um, but I definitely can say like, and I want to say this with like all the humility. I have always had potential, and the leaders who have had the most impact on me have been the ones that say, I see your gifts, even though you don't see them right now. I see your gifts and I want to nurture you and I want you to outshine me. And then I've had leaders, and I'm quoting, someone needs to knock you off your pedestal,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I thrive out of spite, to be honest. I've only had these level of successes to prove the ones wrong and to prove right the ones that believed in me. But I always think to myself, I never want to be ever in a position where I make anybody feel small, right?
Well,
I
Tiffany,
never, yeah,
one of the things I want you to value is that, for one, timing is always perfect.
right.
And number two, people told you exactly what you needed to hear.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I
I'm
remember,
grateful for all of it. Yeah.
yes, I remember when I left the city, Public Works, and I ran into a community member and it was like, hey, Lamar, you still work for the city? I go, no, I left the city. And he goes, you left the city? I said, yeah. And he looked at me and with spite in his eyes, he goes, you never get a job like that again in your life. And in
Mm.
my mind, I'm like, you damn right.
Same.
You
When
damn
I
right.
left, yeah, when I left my last county job, I went out with a blaze of glory, let me tell you. To give you a little bit of context, my resignation letter was 11 pages long. Okay. I
Wow.
went out like that. And I remember someone telling me, like, you don't want to burn this bridge. And I said,
Oh,
sometimes the
yes.
best light comes from a burning bridge. And if I ever make it back to this place, I will know I have failed immaculately in this life because this is not for me. This is
And I
not for
remember,
me.
you're
Yeah.
right. And but the thing is that that's exactly what you needed to hear.
Right.
Because there were days when you did not want to do that homework. There were days when you did not want to go to that class or did not want to go to that training. But resonating in your ear was, if Tiffany, you'll never have the job like this again in your life.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn this bridge. And you and your personality is one like, oh really? Watch
Burn it
this.
all down.
Burn this
Exactly.
mother down.
Right.
Yes.
Thrive out of spite. That's where it
Burn
comes
this
out.
mother
Like,
down.
I'll show you.
Yes. Because I
I'm
remember
a, yeah. Go ahead. Go
within
ahead.
our first year with all dads, I went to a community event, like a community gathering, and I was leaving, and a community leader came up to me and goes, "That's a really cute program. Too bad it'll never last." I'm like, "Thank you. I need that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I need that." That's just what I need to hear. So, we get fed exactly what we need.
Yeah.
It's how we use it, right? It's how we use it. And it's not, I'll show you, it's, I'll show me.
Right. True. True.
I'll show me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
It's,
value those experiences as well.
but I
no,
will say,
it's
leaders, pay attention to what you're feeding people.
Right.
Pay attention to what you're
Absolutely.
feeding people, because
Where's
everything,
it coming from?
right? And everything will come full circle, right?
Right.
Everything will come full circle. And so be conscientious. And I say be conscientious because sometimes we think we're feeding people what they need and we're starving them. And we're making them sick. I've
Right.
known plenty of people in this career of mine that have been compassionate, loving, caring people who have so much to give to life and humanity and making this world a better place, and they are fed toxins to the point that light in them is dimmed and they become cynical, and all of that potential has been wasted because of again someone who's supposed to be leading them is keeping them malnourished as a way for them feeling big.
And
so
and
you
so
know
and
let
the
me
truth.
so on that, let me ask you both a question because this might be something that you're about to go to. So we have folks who are purpose driven and they know why they're where they are, and maybe it's something that maybe they've studied to get into human services or social services or whatever else it is, public health, whatever it is. And then there's some folks who, hey, it's a paycheck, it's a steady paycheck, it's a county job, you're going to be there forever, just like both of you. Like, you wanted air conditioning, Tiff, right? And so you know what do you say to those folks who may not necessarily have the vision? Because I did that. I needed my county job. My job at the Air Force Base was ending in 5 months, and somebody in Germany was all ready to come take my job, whether I liked it or not. So I you know, found that county job, and it was for the paycheck because that was the only thing out there in the desert where I was out in Mojave and California City and Rosamond that paid the same amount as and I had a house note, two car notes, right, a baby, right, and so, you know, but I recognized how do I match my purpose. But what do you say? What would both of you say to people who maybe are in it for the paycheck, and how do we get them? And I know you've talked about Tiffany, right? And, hey, look, get busy living or get busy, moving on to somewhere else. But what if there's that, somebody's maybe 50-50. We know 50% of people are just there to punch a clock and do exactly what they're supposed to during the day and leave and don't do anything else. And I think, those people can either be swayed to the Jedi side or to the dark side, right? So, what do you say to those folks who maybe aren't quite sure why they're there other than their paycheck to might help them find their purpose?
you want to go first, Lamar? Because I got an
Sure.
answer, but I want to hear from you.
Well, when you share that, immediately what comes up to my mind, what comes from the forefront of my mind is that we need those people too.
Yeah.
We need those people too just to keep the machine moving. You know what I'm saying? What we're talking about in regards to leadership, in regards to purpose driven, this may not be their purpose. It may be somewhere else. Their purpose may be coaching. Their purpose may, coaching little kids or scouts or whatever. And their paycheck is moving, keeping the wheels turning, right? And that's okay too, you know. Um, but some of us see it differently. And it's a burden. It's the burden of gifts. Until you embrace the gift, it's a burden because you cannot deny what you know.
Mhm.
You cannot deny what what I'm saying? You can try for a long time, and many of us do because we just want to be normal, right? Leadership ain't for everybody. Superhero ship ain't for everybody. And that's okay. But for those of us who embrace it and who accept it, and do the work of getting out of our own way and toning down our negative self-talk and reducing the time that we spend in our insecurities and understand that I can be a superhero here and be very normal over here. Um, that we embrace that, but it's not for everybody, you
Sure.
know,
But
and
maybe some people don't really know what you said it's not for everybody. Some people it might be for them, but they're not seeing the forest through the trees. They're seeing, hey, look, I got my house note to pay,
and
so
timing,
and
the
so I'm going
timing
to
is
take this
always perfect.
promotion. I'm going to
Yeah.
take this promotion, which is going to give me different responsibilities, but it's also going to elevate my paycheck. So, let me go ahead and do that, where that might be the mentality that ruins a unit.
So
And then go ahead, Tiffany.
no, I just say it's that. So that's where I have to really implore people to make good hiring decisions, right? Whether you're the leader or you're not. Um, we do need people to do the work, and I'm fine with people just coming in because they need a paycheck. That might be where they start. But if I'm really going to lead an effective team in a people-driven business, and human services is 100% a people-driven business, we are here for the people, 100%. That's what we're here for. So if I have people that are working for me who are not for the people, then I've made a horrible hiring decision. And so I have some options here. I can help them buy into this vision, and maybe they're not going to be as passionate about it as I am, but do no harm. Do no
Right,
harm.
right.
So if the way that you are showing up and the way that you're approaching your work is doing harm, then I have to decide who I make uncomfortable, because someone's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to make the people who are passion driven and purpose driven, who are, doing the most and really care about the work, they're going to be uncomfortable because I'm allowing this behavior that's the antithesis to our goal. Or I'm going to make those people uncomfortable and saying, this is a job you chose. We didn't come, you're not a hostage here. And so get with it or keep it moving. The way stay in joy or leave in peace.
Leaving
That's
peace.
that's the official way of saying it. Stay in joy or leave in peace. You don't have to again drink the Kool-Aid, but you definitely can't come in and be like, why are y'all drinking the Kool-Aid? Like don't come with that mess. So that's where you have to set like a level of expectation, and not just with your words, but with your actions. If you are really about the purpose, the right people will follow you. And the
Yeah.
people who don't want to come on the trail, invite them to go somewhere else.
Well, that's
Right?
that's
There's
the
lots
hard
of
thing
And to
though.
jobs
be
to
honest, they
do.
really won't
But
be there
but
that long. They
but
Yeah.
really
that's
won't.
the hard. Well, we like to think so. I mean, I'm sure some people in senior leadership that probably would have been better finding another career 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And
Nobody's
it's
having those
easy. It's
conversations though.
exactly. It's easy to get jumped in, but it's harder to get jumped out, isn't it? Right? So yeah, I'm all for it. Here, bring it to me. I want it all. I want this, I want that. And then we get into it and we're like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. We start nitpicking, and then all of a sudden we have this, I'm in the wrong place, but how do I get out? I'm 2 years from retirement. I'm going to be vested. I've got healthcare. My wife's job doesn't pay healthcare, right? I've got kids. How am I going to
Mhm.
get out of I hate my job, but I have all these other responsibilities. And so I'm stuck, right? And so, like you said, making sure that we're hiring, we're doing intelligent hiring, we're doing a really important idea on how we set expectations, right? I just had this conversation. I had to have a conversation with a close friend who I did business with professionally, and also I had a relationship with personally. And the professional relationship ended because we had professional um, philosophies that were different. And I said, the personal is the personal. We're always going to be close. It's just we don't see eye to eye on how we're growing and moving professionally. So it's okay to walk away from that and find your joy.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Right. Which is, like you said, people don't want to have those difficult conversations that, and they're so embedded in what they're doing. They think this is the only place I'm going to, not even find joy, but just find busyness. Right. And and so how do we help people, like you said, how do we move them out or find something within where we are where they can connect with something that helps them to feel, because remember, it's not just about your skill, it's about how you feel,
Right,
right?
right.
How they feel that they are in a place where they can come to work and look forward to coming to work. Because human services is not the most positive place, right? We know that. We're going
Right.
to deal with I mean, we have these great stories. We all have great stories of successes and those things that bring us back on a regular basis. But we also have those stories of folks who, who were just this close sometimes and just couldn't make it, or people who, whose families were directly affected by their their lack of success in finding jobs or kicking habits or keeping a family together. So how do we find our joy there? Following those purposes, knowing that what we're doing, like you mentioned, that one success story is the things that we come back from, Tiff, right? It's just like playing golf. If I play golf, I have one good hole. The rest of them, I could care less about. I'm just thinking about that one good hole or that one three-pointer that I hit that, oh, okay, well, I did that like Curry. All right, so I can come back and play ball again because I hit that one shot from 30 feet, right? So those are the things that we hold on to. But how do we get people to focus on those things rather than this is just a slog and I'm tired of people yelling at me and lying to me or disrespecting me. Disrespect, is it disrespect, or is it just our idea of is respect an idea of our insecurities, like you mentioned, Lamar, right? So that's a real
Mhm.
conversation that people need to have, but we don't have them, right? And
Mhm.
so,
I,
how do we
yeah,
build that up? Go, Tiff.
I want to say something really quickly because I think this is like the difference. It's not just about having those conversations, but it's how you show up. And I can say from working with Lamar for a long time that Lamar's passion is so infectious that there is not space for anybody but to feel anything but excited about the work that they do because it shows in the way that
Right,
Lamar shows up. And the
right,
people who, and again, I don't know the whole history of all of it, Lamar, but I can say that the people who probably were not in line with that level of commitment and integrity to this philosophy about changing the way that men engage with their children, I guarantee they themselves would have found somewhere else to go because Lamar would have never intentionally made it uncomfortable for
yeah,
anybody. They would have felt uncomfortable knowing that they were in above their heads because this is about the passion. And
right,
so, where I really connect with the idea of leadership over management, you still got to know how to do the work. I mean, let's just be honest. You still have to have some technical skills, but where the real leaders show up is that they are so committed and so unapologetically connected to the purpose that it enshrines in every direction that that team takes, including the way that you nurture and care for your team. And
Mhm.
so Lamar can come in and say, we got a lot of stuff that we don't know, but I know that you all are as committed as I am, that we're going to make this happen no matter what. And they believe that because they know that Lamar is not it's not lip service.
No.
And I the bullshit meter is a real thing. And so when leaders like,
mhm,
let's do it, and they have done nothing to be committed to it, and they're just doing the cheerio, let's go. The team is like, what
Right.
else?
Right.
What else?
well, we
So
can
I
smell a
think
rat in a
for
minute.
me, it's
Yeah,
integrity. It's the integrity that
Integrity.
your passion
Absolutely.
is genuine. And integrity has to have a component of humility to say, we, not me, we are taking this to the next level. And I don't have subordinates, I have leaders. We just
Right.
maybe have different job titles.
And I've had the opportunity over the years. Um, I've had conversations with um, employees and staff members where you have to make decisions because you understand the gravity of the work that you do. And so I've had to have conversations with team members and staff that said, um, right now where you are is a liability to the work, and we can't afford the liability. It's not that you don't have the opportunity, the potential for growth in these areas and things of this nature, but you're more suited as a client than you are a worker right now. And so, with that being said, you know, um, because I recognize the fact that so much of our work is like that of a lifeguard. You sit in a tower and all your people are in the pool. And some people are clinging to the edge, and some are swimming a little better. I have some that are doing great. That's backstroking and butterfly and breaststroke. And then I have other people that are in the deep end drowning. And you may be a good swimmer as a lifeguard, but if you don't have rescue swimming skills, then you're not prepared to jump into deep water because now two people gonna drown. I cannot afford to have you here just because you do a good butterfly. I need you to have rescue swimming skills, and you're not there yet. And somebody's going to drown, including you, if I throw you in there. So you may be best getting more training, more skills somewhere else, and even letting you go to be where you need to be, because this may not be it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I cannot afford, recognize the gravity of the work that we do to have someone here filling a space and be able to have that conversation. Now, I understand that in county government, most of us don't hire our own people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we get what we get and don't throw a fit.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
And so part of it is of us as part of our responsibility as leaders is really evaluating where they are, not only just their technical skill set, but their philosophical beliefs and how that's going to impact the population that we serve. Because we have a lot of people that work for the Human Services Agency that are resource gatekeepers that just have not matured enough to have the power that comes with the job.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're just not
Yep.
mature enough. You're still, you know, bullying junior high school, not to insult junior high school kids, but you know, because there's a lot of great ones out
Right.
there. But
Right.
you're just not ready to have the power that comes with making one decision that can affect someone's whole monthly outcome, a
You don't
monthly
have the
income.
right to. You don't have the right to. You're not
But
God. You can't judge other people, but other people live on their judgments and morals.
and unfortunately, once they pass probation, they own their job,
They're
and
locked
it's
in.
very
Yeah.
difficult. So it becomes incumbent upon leadership and having conversations with the leadership of leaders to say, hey, this person is not. We gotta really reduce the damage that they can do by moving them over here or over here, you know. And so it's just one of those dynamics that come with, you know, working these particular fields.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Do no
I
harm,
hear you.
right?
Do no
Do no
harm.
harm. And
Do
that's
no
Where's
yeah.
where's Nora Gerber when we need her? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we have come to our favorite, the number one segment in America, which is our top fives.
Oh
Completely
And
made
wow.
it.
so,
Okay.
Completely. I
Okay.
don't. 4 people make it to this part.
so yeah, not everybody makes it to this part, right? So the question we have, and we're going to share it with Lamar and Tiff, is Lamar, we'd like you to name your top five places to eat in Merced and outside of the Merced area.
Wow.
So,
Damn. Okay. So number one, without a doubt, is a little Mexican restaurant on Main Street called Trevino's. Do you remember Trevino's, Tiffany?
It's also on my list.
Yes. And I love Trevino's for a variety of reasons. Matter of fact, I was just there Wednesday. I love Trevino's because their food is excellent and consistently always very good. I'm the kind of person, if I like a dish, I like it because I want it to taste like that every time I show up. Don't switch it up on me, okay? Because then you lose me. So the quality of the food is always excellent. The customer service is outstanding. I always feel like I'm amongst family when I'm there. It was my wife's favorite restaurant and a place that it was on our route, you know, our Costco run and Trevino's on a Saturday. And secondly, one of the reasons why I love Trevino so much is because early on in my relationship with my wife, when we were brand new parents, before they had a brick and mortar shop, they had a taco truck right on the corner of our street and Childs, right in front of this little strip mall. And they would allow us to buy burritos and tacos with food stamps.
Nice.
And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget how good it felt to go buy a burrito on food stamps. And that spirit um, has transitioned into where they are now, where the same lady who owned the taco truck is the same lady who owns Trevino's. And we have a relationship with them. And her kids have come through boot camp for new dads. And her family has come through the program. And they know me by name. And they put us in our seats. So, Trevino's is absolutely number two. I like Texas Roadhouse. The biscuits are amazing with that honey butter. Oh my God. The salad and the biscuits before the meat even shows up, you have to have a level of discipline to not be full before your entree ever gets there. Consistently good steaks. My wife liked it too. And so we would travel to Turlock or Modesto and go to Texas Roadhouse. Number three, because this is my granddaughter's favorite place. It's funny, you used to ask kids where they want to go and everybody wanted a Happy Meal. Them days are over. She wants bag of crab. Okay. She wants a seafood boil. I usually get her a whole crab and then crab legs and my joy is just cracking the crab legs for her and watching her eat it. Oh. And we go there on date night with just she and I. And just, she'll be on her side of the table and enjoying her food. But eventually she's going to make her way to my side of the table. And she want to just sit with me and just be there with me. So I have this loving connection with Bag of Crab because that's our spot. Number four is probably I recently had a Cajun chicken wrap, Cajun shrimp wrap at a place called Jams 209 in Atwater.
Yeah, yep, know that place well.
Delicious. And I had wings there one time, popping. Okay, very good. So that place is pretty good. Number four. Am I on number four, number five?
I think it's number five.
Okay, number five. Okay. Probably because this is our little breakfast spot, but Country Waffle.
Oh yeah.
In Merced, they have a really good meat lovers omelet where no vegetables are harmed in the prep.
Keto friendly.
Yeah, yes, I like it because it's good, it tastes good, but also for me, it's really like how the food tastes is how how the service is too.
Right.
If I feel like I'm valued there, and safe, then I'll probably come back. But that's probably my top five right there.
I love it. I'm nostalgic because I haven't lived in Merced for 13, 14 years now. I don't even live in the country anymore, Lamar. I left the country. I live in Mexico.
Where do you live now?
I live in Mexico. This is my background. My background is my backyard. It's my backyard a few miles down, but I live where the desert meets the sea. That's where I live at.
Right on.
But when I think about Merced and any places I visit, I'm always like, what are the foods that bring back like that memory or so Thai cuisine on 16th Street is one of my favorites. Lots of lunches with friends at Thai cuisine, not the one that's downtown, the 16th Street, the one that's all skanky right off the freeway. That is that is the best one. They have the best spring rolls in the whole wide world. Just FYI, best spring rolls. I'm also nostalgic for Maria's Taco Shop. The rolled tacos.
Maria's, yeah.
Maria's Taco Shop with the specifically the rolled tacos. They taste
Chicken
best
or beef?
at 2 a.m.
Chicken or beef?
The beef. And those are best as served at 2 a.m. after you've been being a degenerate.
Right.
10 out of 10.
Nice.
Trevino's is also on my list. And ironically, I was just talking about Trevino's a few days ago, and I was like, I always order the same thing at Trevino's. I always get pollo en su crema. And I've never, ever, ever had it anywhere else. I've only eaten it there. And I said to myself, how come I don't make this? How come I've
Yeah.
never made pollo en su crema? I can cook anything. And so I made some the
Yes.
other day and it was just as good, except they do homemade flour tortillas.
Yes.
I was eating store-bought
Yes.
flour tortillas like a peasant. So I will make homemade flour tortillas, but
You got to crawl
Trevino's
before you walk.
always
You got to crawl before you
exactly,
walk.
exactly. Another one that I love, I think I'm on three, one, two, three, four, is Punjab Sweets and Restaurant in Livingston. It's a
Okay.
little
Never
hole
been
in the
there.
wall. It's a little hole in the wall Indian restaurant. 20 out of 10. I tell you. I used to
Okay.
live in Livingston and I used to call in my lunch order and I would always order it spicy and they would always tell me, Indian food spicy hits different, right? And I
Yeah.
say, yes, I'm aware. I want to
Yes.
make my nose run. And so she'd
Right.
say, all right, she'd hook it up. But every time I ordered, I'm like, can I get that spicy? She's like, Indian spice hits different, right? Yes, I do.
Nice.
And then of course, also in Livingston, Gino's Pizza. If you've never eaten at
I've
Gino's
never
Pizza,
been there, but I'm gonna go check it out. You're like the
like you said,
third
like
person that
Trevino,
told me about that.
listen, it's thin crust. The people who work there, they've owned it for years. It's a family business. The Again, I haven't lived there for 13 or 14 years, but my kids still live in Atwater. So when I go into town to visit, we go to Gino's Pizza and they still, again, I don't live there anymore. They still know exactly what I order. They always, how have you been?
Don't
How's
you
it
love
going?
that?
Seriously.
We want to
My
be where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, no, and it's just like that. It's funny
Yeah.
because my now husband used to work swing shifts, so he didn't get off work till like 10 o'clock, and they closed at 10. And so there were days where he'd get off early. He's like, "Hey, call Geno's and see if they'll stay open, and I'll meet you there." And so I
Right.
would meet him there, and they already had the food right. Like I'd be like, "Hey, me and David are gonna come in. We're gonna get our usual blah blah," and then they would stay open until we finished, vacuum around us and everything, but
Yeah.
they would
I
always
love
stay
that.
open.
I
So
love that.
Geno's Pizza. And Texas Roadhouse, by the way, when they first opened, my two of my kids were the people making all of the sides. I just
Oh,
want to let
really?
you know. They don't
Nice.
work there
Great to
anymore,
know.
but they left, but they were pretty convinced that the whole place would shut down when they left because they were the only ones that knew anything. Um, so every time I see them, I remind them, hey, I went by Texas Roadhouse in Turlock, and guess what? The doors are still open and you could still get a baked potato. It hasn't shut down yet.
Hey,
But my
a
honorable
good employee knows their value.
exactly, exactly. Mama taught him well. You know what I mean? Mama taught him
Yes.
well. But my honorable mention, only because I couldn't fit it on the list, is Mi Casa in Turlock,
Oh,
specifically
okay.
for their molcajete.
There used to be
Specifically,
one in Merced, but it closed.
oh,
Yeah, it
the
was
one in
great.
Turlock, oh, that molcajete, it's changed. It's gotten shrinkflation has happened because the molcajetes used to be
Yes.
like enough for two people, and they just keep
Right.
getting smaller and smaller. But as someone who travels the world, there's nothing that I've tasted that compares to that molcajete. It is the best in the world.
Right on. Thank you.
Best in the world. Those are my
So,
favorites. Those are my taste of home.
Nice.
so believe it or not, I have the top five, but I'm going to need your help.
Ooh,
I'm going to
okay.
need your help because I've spent some time in Merced and in the environs and surrounding areas and whatnot. So, um, but I have not spent a lot of time. I when I find a place that works, I stick with it, right? So, but so I remember I was really sick one time. I had a sore throat way before COVID, right? But I just wasn't feeling right. I had to teach a class the next day, and there was a Thai place that was just right near my hotel. I went and got some pho, or not pho, but I got some Thai soup, some spinach and chicken soup that was just amazing. And I think the name of the place was Thai Star. And so
Okay.
it's
Thai
always
Star's all right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
a place,
My
that
cuisine is superior, but Thai Star's all right. Thai
Yeah.
okay,
Star's all right.
cool. And then the next one is in Chowchilla, so it's not Merced per se, but Farnese's. I had a great steak there one time on the way home from Fresno, right? And the service was really, homespun and made you feel welcome, and got to watch a Giants game, and they beat the Dodgers, and so that was, that's another good thing. There was
Hey,
an
clock, a
Italian.
broken clock. Hold on. Broken clock is right twice a day. So that it
Twice
could
a day.
happen. Yep.
Right.
There was a place right off the freeway where the Burger King is now, and then there was another, and there was a place right up there, and it had their name at the top of like a tower type of thing. It was an Italian steakhouse type of place. I think it was D something. It's not there anymore. It's been replaced, but I can't remember the name of it. Like
D'Angelo's. It was
D'Angelo's.
D'Angelo's.
Thank
D'Angelo's.
you,
Yeah, it's no longer there.
D'Angelo's. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Had some fun times in D'Angelo's.
Yeah. It was a
well,
Cubs, a little spot.
yeah. So I ran into it
Yes.
and enjoyed it. Another spot was I used to do a lot of training for California Mentor people, for a company that works with people with developmental disabilities, and they had an office in Merced. And so whenever I came, they did potlucks. So the Mentor potlucks, I'll add to that list. And then number five is for some reason that is my favorite Costco to go get a hot dog.
Oh,
And
Merced?
Merced on the way
Okay.
home from
Nice.
Fresno. If I, if I'm over going to rallies
Yeah.
and Sonic, just knowing where that Costco is, I know the exit, I know how to get there, and it always just hits the right spot. It's about 2 hours away from home, so it just keeps me satiated
Perfect.
till I get there. So yeah, the Costco hot dog in Merced. So sorry if I don't have any fine dining, if I'm
No,
slumming.
that's good.
Yeah, that's how we roll sometimes. So
That is fine dining. Costco is fine dining. You can't convince
Yes.
me otherwise.
Yes. And if
so
I could
Thai
just,
Star,
yeah,
Farnese's, D'Angelo, um, uh, Mentor Potlucks, and Costco. So yes.
if I could add honorable mention,
Yes.
um, there's a place called the Coconut Cafe that
Oh,
serves Thai food now. And the reason that they serve good food, but one of the reasons that I have a special place in my heart for them is that for years the owners used to be the waitress at Sam's Cafe, Sam's Thai food on 12th,
oh,
which
Sam's
was
is so good.
yes. And so for years she was our server. And then she opened up her own place and she's given Sam a run for his money. And just knowing her story and watching how hard she worked and seeing where she is now, it's just it just makes the food just that much sweeter.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Very cool.
Oh, I love
Yep.
it so much.
All
Right
right.
on.
Well, we are at the end of our time together. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up, Mr. Lamar, sir?
I just want to thank you for an opportunity to be here. I thank you for, I thank the universe for choosing me, to be in this space. Um, I think throughout my, I was just talking to a friend a few weeks ago. We were talking, and we had played football together years ago. And he goes, Lamar, do you ever wish you can go back to when we were 18 or 19 years old and playing football? And I'm like, if it means I'll be a different person, no, I don't want to change anything. And I know that I'm on my purpose because everything that's ever happened to me in my life, good, bad, or indifferent, made me who I am now. And so I would not ever change a thing. And I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity to be here. I've enjoyed my time when I've had an opportunity to train with you. And Tiffany, I just love you. I just have
Love
so
you.
much respect for you. And I just feel blessed to have been able to be an observer of your journey and just
Oh,
just where you are. It's just beautiful. And
try again.
it's just really, 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 um, it's just the only way I can describe it is beautiful. And you're just coming into your own. And yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. So I'm so happy to be here. Yeah.
You made me cry 3 times today. We've only been here for 12. You should get some stocking Kleenex, Lamar. Can I just tell you? You're someone I've always looked up to, and it's interesting because I say I look up to you, but you've never sat on a throne. You've always just been Lamar, and you have this energy that just draws people in, and um I'm glad that I've shared space with you too. You've made a huge impact on my life, whether you know it or not, Lamar. But I appreciate you being. I'm glad that our paths have crossed, and they continue to
Yes.
cross. You can't
Yes.
quit me. You can't
No.
quit me. Go ahead and try. I'm gonna find you wherever you're at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
And
anyways,
oh, and
Carl's here. I forgot. Carl, you
no,
take
no,
the
you're
coach,
good.
Carl.
No, this is a love fest. This is all good,
Yeah.
right? So we can edit my stuff out in post. But so Lamar, is there anything that you would like to plug? Do you have any websites or any upcoming informational sessions or anything else that's happening, keynote speaking or anything that the
Um,
public can access you?
Nothing that I could think of right now that's on the horizon, just um, but just keep your ears open. You never know what might be happening very soon. I'm open
Well,
to it.
then let me ask you, what is there a website or somewhere where people can get more information on All Dads Matters?
Yeah, they can go to www.alldadsmattermerced.org. We'll take care of you from there.
Okay, www.alldadsmattermerced.org.
.org. Yes.
Okay, very cool. And I second Tiff's sentiments with you, Lamar. You are a gift. You are a gift to us. Ever since our paths have crossed, I think our paths have. I mean, I've known of you for almost 10 years. Kay Kelly could never stop saying anything good about you. And then when you participated in the Travel TANF, that's when we first really connected. And then just being able to, Tiff, we actually trained together in January. It was the first time Lamar and I
Yeah, in
actually
Fresno.
trained together. It was
Yeah.
2 days in Fresno,
You're
and
so lucky, Carl. So lucky.
oh man, I felt refreshed and rejuvenated. We did a 2-day inclusive leadership class, and people loved it. When I came back the next month without Lamar, I could tell that they were a little less excited. They got over it, but
Yeah.
but but you're definitely a gift, brother, and we definitely appreciate you. And thank you very much. And thanks everyone for joining us. And we look forward to putting this out there for everyone to see. But until next time, I'm Carl.
I'm Tiff, and that's
I'm Lamar.
Lamar.
And that's Lamar. And Lamar, we always say at the end, we keep it real. So, let's
Keep it
keep it
real.
real. Absolutely. All right.
Absolutely. Thank
And
you.
I will say, well, I want one last week, keeping it real, but I will say this. If you have a choice in life, be like Lamar and don't be an asshole. There you go. That's it. That's it.
Thank
That's
you.
my parting words.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
if you have a choice in life, be like Lamar, except for his football team. That's all I got to say. All right. So,
Dude, you don't want to go there.
Yeah. He's not a good picker. He's
We got
not
a
a good
support group I got to go to right now.
picker. All right.